with Ibu Dirjen will give us spirit to our efforts to open the international class of Health Polytechnic of the Ministry of Health of the Republic of Indonesia. Ibu Dirjen will give us spirit to our for the 20 lecturers who become the spearhead of this pilot program. I really appreciate your hard work and strong commitment to realize the goal of all of us to open international class in 2024. Our lecturers will help us to develop the nursing curriculum in English while also improving the capacity to teach in English. I know it's been a very busy schedule for the past 2 months in order to advance the progress of the pilot program. Today, allow me to share the good progress of the pilot program so far. The first, the program of English Scan is the main strategic action from the pilot program. The lecturers will develop 20 English nursing books, while at the same time improving their capacity of English for the preparation of international class Health Polytechnic Ministry of Health of the Republic of Indonesia in 2024. The second, this pilot program consists series of activities. Kick-off meeting was the first, followed by the drafting of nursing learning books written in English. After the camps, there will be evaluation of the nursing books before the last step of reading them. Third, as previously discussed in the kick-off meeting, it was planned that the participants are to write learning books before the offline meeting in the camp. Now, 20 lecturers are to write 20 books, a topic for each. In the last 2 months, there have been internal meetings to develop the learning books, consultation with experts of nursing material from nursing department of UGM, instructional design from the curriculum and educational technology department of UNY, and language aspect from English education department of UII. Fourth, to support the development of the 20 books, there were also seminars to recognize nursing cases in Middle East and the making of lesson plans from the instructional design perspective. The fifth, for next 2 weeks, the 20 lecturers is going to have their camp of English and nursing book development facilitated by the trainers from language service unit of UNJ and also our faithful partner from the 3 qualified universities, UGM, UNJ, and UII. The learning circumstance is entirely supported by our own colleagues from Balai Pelatihan Kesehatan Semarang. The sixth, to sum up, it's important for me to share that this pilot program will produce strategic outputs with capacity building for lecturers in delivering the nursing subject matter in English nursing book developed by the lecturers of international class. Nursing curriculum translated into English. Training for trainer of all international class lecturers of 38 headquarters of Ministry of Health of the Republic of Indonesia. In the end, I wish you all well with the upcoming camps. Please stay committed to the program as we have put our trust in you. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. And the next is remarks from WHO. Please welcome to Mr. Alexander.
Thank you very much. Salamat siang dan salam sehat. Good afternoon, Bapak dan Ibu. The Honorable Ibu Dirjen Tenaga Kesehatan, Ibu Arianti Anaya, Bapak Sekretaris Dirjen Nakes, Bapak Sugianto, Ibu Director of Health Workforce Provision, Ibu Oos, Bureau of International Cooperation, our colleagues from Kageteka, Bapak dan Ibu Director of Polytechnic in Indonesia, especially Polytechnic Medan, Yogyakarta, Surabaya, and Pontianak, Head of Bapelkes Salaman, Ibu Shri, the Head of International Partnership at DG Nakes, our colleague from Southeast Asia Regional Office, Ms. Ai Tanimizu, our academic partners from Universitas Gadjah Mada, Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta, Universitas Islam Indonesia, and all other universities who are supporting the program. All distinguished participants, both offline and online, Bapak Ibu, it's really my privilege and great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all of you as we gather here today to mark the opening of the Polytechnic Camp for International Class Preparation. This remarkable event is a significant step forward in our collective efforts to improve the quality of education and training in the field of healthcare. As mentioned in the WHO's Global Strategy on Human Resources for Health, we know that quality education and training programs are the foundation to ensure that all health workers are competent and that the health services delivered are safe and effective. The education provides health workers with the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes they need to provide high-quality care to patients. This is also essential to deliver the optimal care, ensure patient safety, and of course, to contribute to the overall improvement of the healthcare systems. In Indonesia, improving the quality of lectures in health polytechnics is an essential step towards providing a responsive and proficient health workforce. This can be achieved by ensuring that the lecturers are adequately trained and equipped with necessary skills to effectively deliver course content to our students. Recognizing the significance of equipping lecturers with the essential competencies to prepare international class programs, WHO Country Office in Indonesia has been actively supporting the Ministry of Health in the development of nursing modules for international class education. These modules will be designed to enhance the educational experience of nursing students to prepare them for the global demands of the healthcare industry. Furthermore, in recognition of the importance of English as the language of global communication in healthcare, an English camp program has been initiated. This program, which is set to commence this week, aims to enhance our lecturers' proficiency in delivering nursing lessons in English by providing them with opportunities to improve their language skills and the pedagogical techniques. Supporting professional development of polytechnic lecturers will enhance the educational experiences of our students for a globally competitive healthcare workforce. As many of you are aware, these activities are under the WHO work plan for 2022 to 2023. And as we prepare for the next biennium, we are eagerly looking forward to our meeting and continuing discussions with Ibu Dirjen for the Health Workforce Program, so we can agree and advocate for more of the HRH priorities for inclusion in the WHO Work Plan for Biennium 2024 to 2025. Our collective aim is to contribute to the meaningful transformation of health workforce in Indonesia as part of the broader agenda for health system transformation. Before ending my remarks this afternoon, I would like to extend my sincerest appreciation to Ibu Dirjen Arianti Anaya, Pasis Dirjen Sugianto, Ibu Director OOS, Ibu Shri, and the Bureau of International Cooperation for their valuable contribution in implementing this program. I would also like to express on behalf of the country office leadership our deepest gratitude to the directors of Poltekkes, especially directors of Poltekkes Yogyakarta, Surabaya, Medan, and Pontianak, for their leadership to implement this program. Special thanks are extended to our colleagues from Poltekkes Yogyakarta and Bapelkes Salaman for the exceptional efforts in managing the camp and the program. We are very excited with all the progress and updates shared earlier by Dr. Iswanto. We are very, very grateful. Thank you very much. And may this Polytechnic and Module Camp program contribute significantly to improving the quality of education and training in the field of healthcare in the country. Kami man ikan kemitraan dan kolaborasi kami yang berkelanjutan. Terima kasih banyak. Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Eric, for the insightful remarks. Okay, next is the opening speech that will be delivered by the Deputy Minister of Health Workforce. Please welcome Dr. Gigi Arianti Anaya. Lord,
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Nama Budaya, salam kebajikan. Very good afternoon to all of you. Mungkin ada yang bocor nih. The Secretary, the Honorable,
Di bawah sendiri.
panitia bisa di itu ya, yang bocor. Ya, saya nggak dengar soal. The Honorable Miss Aita Mizi, Chief of Nursing and Midwifery WHO SEARO, Prof. Roderick Salenga, Team Leaders Health System Strengthening WHO Indonesia, Director of Health Workforce Provision, Director of Central of Global Health and Health Technology Policy, all the Director of the Health Polytechnic, especially for Director Polytechnic Yogyakarta, Surabaya, Semarang, and Medan, Director of Health Training Center, Semarang, all the coaching team from the Gajah Mada, from the Universitas Yogyakarta, and also the international class lecture from the Polytechnic of the Ministry of Health, distinguished guests and participants. First of all, I would like to warmly welcome to all of you in the opening English camp of the English Nursing Curriculum Development for the International Class Health Polytechnic Lecture, Ministry of Health of the Republic Indonesia. Let me begin to deliver my very thank you to WHO, especially for Eric, Mr. Eric. I think this is the follow-up of the meeting that we done it in Yogyakarta, and the progress is very fast. And thank you. the programs come to helping us to reach our goal on the health polytechnic transformation as guided by His Excellency Ministry to improve the quality of the education through the capacity building program for the international class lectures. I'm honored to be here through the online of the Health Training Center Semarang, who provide their facility for this important program of the English camp, and acknowledge the effort of the all the health polytechnic lecture to have the English skill improvement. One of the important thing that we should increase the quality of our nursing. Our nurse to go to the international, to the global, with the international class for the health polytechnic graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, refer to the data of the National Board for the Indonesian Migrant Worker Protection, so that 2010 to 2022, there are about 91,000 applicants for nurse working overseas, or about 7,000 offer per year. However, Indonesia can supply about 4,300 nurses from 2019 to 2022, or average 1,100 nurses per year. If we are looking for the health polytechnic, the health polytechnic producing about 20,000 nurses every year. We have a 38 polytechnic and has sent about 200 nurses within 3 years. This shows how big the gap of the Indonesian capacity to fulfill nursing job over the overseas. I think one of the reasons is the lack of the English skill of the Indonesian nurses. I know that English is one of the language that is widely used in the world. English has been taught since elementary education in Indonesia, but it's not our mother language. But furthermore, higher education need to be able to develop their English learning to prepare professional graduates completely to competing globally. For this reason, teaching proficiency in English for the university lecture is an important requirement. The ability to make and develop learning modules, convey and discuss topic in oral and writing in English within learning process is an important competency that must be possessed by the lecturer. This will enhance the student ability and confidence in using in English. I think the program of the English camp become a strategic action for our lecturer to improve their English capacity, while also developing 20 English nursing books for the preparation of the international class for the Health Polytechnic Ministry of Health of the Republic Indonesia in 2024. The output of this program will be covering the 3 critical points to start the international class of the nursing study program. One output is the availability of the lecturer who have capacity to teach in the fluent English. And the second is availability of the English nursing curriculum. And third one is the supporting English nursing book or module to deliver to the student of the international class that will be implementation in our 38 Polytechnic Kementerian Kesehatan. Today we have a 20 lecture from 4 Health Polytechnic, Medan, Yogyakarta, Surabaya, and Semarang, who committed to make a success of this pilot program, that they will be in the camp for 2 weeks to improve their English capacity and produce 20 nursing books in English. You will be the trainer of the lecture, replicating the program for other health polytechnic. And I'm proud to see your commitment and take most benefit for this program. You are all chosen people, so please continue to improve your capacity and self-development in education. Create a conducive academic atmosphere in order to create graduate of health polytechnics as excellent and renowned in Indonesian health professional. I hope the pilot project, this program will work running well. Yeah. And also I hope the commitment from all the director, the polytechnic from Surabaya, Medan, Semarang, and Jogja, yeah, to support all the lecture, follow all the training until finish. I know because that is 2 weeks, yeah, the training will running for the 2 weeks. So then we need to commitment for all the participants. And for WHO, thank you once again. Then I hope that WHO can support to carry out this training like this for our other polytechnic, because we have a 38 polytechnic, yeah, and hope that all the polytechnic, they all have the international class for the nurse, and have a standard, have the same standard with the 4 polytechnic that's done or do the first pilot today. Finally, with a blessing, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I hereby declare the English camp and nursing book development of the strengthening capacity of health polytechnic lecture for the international class officially open. I wish you all a stimulating and productive camp. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ibu Dirjen, for the official opening and also the speech. Next, ladies and gentlemen, now we have officially opened the English camp and nursing book development camp. We are going to take a moment of pictures to capture the pictures of the audience. So therefore, for all of the participants, please open your camera. All of the participants, please open the camera. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Mbak Ayu, would you like to help us to catch the pictures?
Yes, we are ready, Bu Sevi.
Thank you. Okay. First, okay, and then next. Okay, and then next. Okay. Okay, next. Please, all of the participants open the cam, please. Okay, thank you. Next. Okay, next. Okay, next. Okay, thank you very much for your cooperations. At the end of the conversation sessions, the opening ceremony of the English camp and nursing book development camp held at Kampus Halaman of Bapelkes Semarang is officially concluded. I, Sevi Nur Hadianti, would like to express my very thank you to all of the participants, to all of the remarkable guests, to Bu Dirjen, and also from WHO, and also from Pak Ses, and also from our participants and the guests in the Zoom meeting. However,
Please do not leave the Zoom meeting just yet, as the next agenda would be guest lectures with WHO Southeast Asia regions. So see you all later, and thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. and Mr. Moderator, to guide the guest lecture, please. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Ibu Dirjen, Bu Sevi, Bu Sri.
Terima kasih, Bu Eke. I would like to invite Ibu Margareta Telly from Poltekkes Kupang to moderate the session of a guest lecture from Miss I of WHO SEARO. Miss Telly, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you so much, Ibu Sri. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude for this opportunity for being the moderator for today. Excellencies, respected speaker, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to again warmly welcome you all to the another remarkable part of our agenda today. It was the guest lecture from the WHO in the Southeast Area region. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Margareta Telly. I will be serving as your moderator today. I currently work as lecturer in Nursing School of Polytechnic of Kupang. And as you probably already know that today's lecture is organized by the Directorate General Health Workforce in collaboration with WHO Indonesia on the program of increasing the capacity of international class lecturer at the Health Polytechnic of Indonesian Ministry of Health. In this session, we proudly have outstanding speaker from WHO Southeast Area region. Please welcome our speaker, nurse Miss I Tanimisiu. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ibu Margareta, I can hear you very
Okay.
clearly.
Yes. A little bit, I would like to inform all of the participants about Miss I Tanimisiu. Here is about her short biography. Aitana Mishu is currently working in the WHO regional officer in Southeast Asia as a technical officer for nursing and midwifery. I also has previously working for nursing development in many countries, in several countries, including Canada, Kuwait, and also Bangladesh. And to inform you that in her roles in Canada, Kuwait, and Qatar, she was involved in projects to increase nurses' expertise in disease-based cancer nursing, mentoring specialist oncology nursing, developing nursing policy and procedurals, and strengthening specialized cancer clinical nursing. And while in Bangladesh, she was involved in strengthening nursing administration, education, and also services. I also would like to inform you regarding her study background. She was graduated from Master of Nursing from University of Toronto, Canada, in a particular area health system, leadership and administration, and Bachelor of Nursing Science from York University. So I knowledgeable about your expertise in nursing. We're really eager to hear about your fruitful talk this evening. And of course, we are really delightful to have you in this evening and really eager to hear, of course, your talk. So the floor is yours, for 45 minutes for your talk.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Ibu Margareta. Assalamualaikum. My name is I Tanimisiu. I work as a technical officer for nursing and midwifery in WHO Southeast Asia Regional Office. So I have the pleasure of giving you the presentation, but I just want to share my screen. So Honorable Director General of Health Workforce, Ibu Ariyanti Anaya, Secretariat of DG Bapak Sugianto, Ibu Director of Health Workforce Provision, Ibu Oos, Bureau of International Cooperation, KGTK, Director of Polytech in Indonesia, especially Polytech Medan, Yogyakarta, Surabaya, and Pontianak, Ibu Sri as Head of International Partnership at DG Nakis, and all distinguished participants who are here today with us online and offline. Thank you very much for the warm welcome and for the introduction. Today, I want to take this time to talk about strengthening nursing lecture for better health workforce to achieve universal health coverage. Please feel free to ask questions on the chat, and I will try to answer them at the end of this talk. And I thought I will introduce, make an introduction about myself and my journey as a nurse and who I am. So I was born and raised in Japan. So my first language is Japanese, but I actually went to Canada for my university studies because I felt that, being Japanese, I can always work in Japan if I wanted to, and I could stay there, but I really wanted more for myself. So I went to university in Toronto in Canada, and that's where I got my nursing degree. Here you can see a picture of me working in an oncology ward in Toronto in Canada, where it was very multicultural. I really enjoyed working there. And that's when I felt my interest for nursing, and I wanted to absorb as much information as possible. So I worked as an inpatient nurse. I worked as an OPD nurse, outpatient department too, and I also supported with research activities. While I was in Toronto, I always wanted to do more, and it was my nature that I wanted to go beyond that. I thought, okay, working in Toronto is exciting, but I thought that there was more I could do with nursing. I had this opportunity then to go to Kuwait, which is one of the Gulf countries in the Middle East. So I was there as a nurse educator from a team of a group of Canadians, basically from the cancer center that I was working in, to improve oncology-based cancer nursing. And so what I did was really teaching about oncology and oncology nursing, but from different areas. So my specialty was solid tumors, and then I would also welcome guests from Canadian instructors who would come to Kuwait. Here, it was very exciting for me because this is the first time I was working with a nursing group that was majority, who migrated from other countries to come to Kuwait to work as a nurse. And this was very new because in Canada, a lot of the nurses are actually Canadian. And there are some internationally educated nurses, but I felt that in Kuwait, it was more diverse. There were a lot of nurses that I worked from the Philippines, from India. There were nurses from Jordan, from Syria. So this was a very exciting opportunity for me to work in an international culture. After I finished that project, I wanted to keep doing something more international as well. And I was involved in a project in Qatar, this time looking at how the health workforce team works together. So it wasn't just about nursing anymore, but really the multidisciplinary team and how we can improve oncology nursing service. So here you can see this was a Health Ministers Award that my group had won actually that year. And I'm very proud of them because this was the first time a multidisciplinary team came together and developed a patient education class for the patients who were going through chemotherapy. And so my role there was to really guide the nurses and the health workforce team to work together to come up with a patient education class. And before that, they were working in silos. So nursing working as nurses, medical oncologists working in just medical oncologists, surgical oncologists working on their own, the dietitians, the physiotherapists. So, and then even within nursing, we had the ward nurses, and then we had the clinical nurse specialists, and they were all working in silos. And what my role was to really try to get all of them on one, in one room for a span of 6 months to get them to understand and respect each other's roles and what they can contribute to improving patient care. So after I was in Qatar, I thought, oh, I'm really enjoying this international work. What am I going to do? Am I going to go back to Canada, where I'm used to, or do I keep going somewhere else? And that's when I had the opportunity to apply for the WHO, and I started my journey at the UN. And for my first duty, I was in Bangladesh. And here I was able to work with the Director General of Nursing Services, which is part of the Ministry of Health. I was able to work with the Nursing and Midwifery Council, the Nursing Association, the Midwifery Association, and really trying to improve overall nursing profession, not just education and not just service, but really looking at it from a broader perspective. So this is my history. So being Japanese, I've been very fortunate enough to be able to work in the various countries. Now, today I thought I'd talk to you about WHO's role and the global strategic directions for nursing and midwifery, giving you an overview of what nursing in the region, Southeast Asia region, looks like, and then maybe perhaps ending with some discussions if we have some time. So WHO is an independent specialized agency of the United Nations, which is established on the 7th of April, 1948. Our mandate is to ensure the highest attainable level of health for all people, regardless of, your financial background, your cultural background, your religious background. We want to make sure that everybody can attain the highest level of health possible. We work in 3 structures. So we at the headquarters level. So we have our headquarters in Geneva in Switzerland, and the lady that you see is our chief nurse. Her name is Dr. Amelia. So she's our chief nurse who sits at headquarters. At the regional office, that is where I sit. There are 6 regional offices around the world, one of them being Southeast Asia region, and we are based in New Delhi. And then we have over 150 plus country offices, one of them being Indonesia. So what we are trying to do at WHO is one of our mandates, or one of our key priority area, is to ensure that we can achieve universal health coverage. Now, I think you have heard this, but I just want to recap what is universal health coverage. So UHC means that all individuals and communities, regardless of where they are, can receive quality health services when in need without suffering financial hardship. Now, I know that this sounds easier, and it does also at the same time sound like a huge scope, and it really is. It's not as simple as we think it is, but it is achievable. And it includes the full spectrum of essential quality health service, from health promotion to prevention, treatment, rehabilitation, and palliative care. And if you think about that, that's actually where we as nurses work, right? So because we as nurses, we work from health promotion to prevention, treatment, rehabilitation, and palliative care, really throughout somewhat life journey. This is where we as nurses work. This is what we are trying to achieve by universal health coverage. So we have to focus on the access to health services, the quality of services to improve health, and care that does not cause financial hardship, and putting primary healthcare as the cornerstone. We measure it by using, by looking at how much quality essential health services there are, and how are we able to access that, and also looking at the health workforce numbers. So how many health workers are there? Because what do you do without health workers? There's no health without health workers. So this is an important indicator. Now, when we estimate that, we look at what types of health services are needed in order to achieve universal health coverage. And we did an estimate of how many health workers we need. Now, looking at these numbers, it is not set in stone. It's not that if you achieve this number, then you definitely achieve universal health coverage. But when we looked, globally at the numbers, we realized that 44.5 health workers per 10,000 population, or about 4.45 health workers per 1,000 population, is probably the number that we are aiming to achieve in order to deliver the minimum health services required to achieve universal health coverage. But globally, this number is actually shrinking slowly, but this number was actually calculated before COVID. So we actually have to do another calculation. But we still say that there's still a shortage of 10 million health workers needed to achieve and sustain universal health coverage by the year 2030. So this is a global number that we still have a shortage of 10 million health workers. Now, when we look at the health workers and what we are trying to achieve at WHO, we look at the health labor market framework for universal health coverage. So if you look at the very right here, I'll just put my cursor. So this is what we want to achieve, which is universal health coverage with safe, effective, person-centered health service. So in order to achieve this, what do we really need to do for our health workforce? Well, let's go all the way back. Who becomes, a health who can deliver a quality health services? So we have to start from the education sector, obviously from the graduates from high school programs, right, that go into education and health or in education and other fields. And this is what we're focusing on right now. And then these graduates then they get qualified to work as nurses and to work as health workers. Then they get employed or they're unemployed, or maybe they go out of labor force. Or, here, as you see, they might actually go abroad. But we want to make sure that these graduates are absorbed by the labor market so that there are enough in the health sector and that these health workforce is equipped to deliver quality health service in order to achieve our ultimate goal of universal health coverage. Now, when we look at nursing, there have been recent global activities calling for more investments in nursing, midwifery, and the health workforce. So the year 2020, I'm sure some of you know, was declared the International Year of the Nurse and the Midwife. Now, we also know what happened in 2020. There were a lot of activities planned. World Health Day, which is celebrated every year on April 7th, with the theme of thanking nurses and midwives, couldn't become a very big celebration anymore because all countries were really battling with COVID, the first wave at that time. And in 2020, this is when the first ever State of the World's Nursing Report was released. So we did it in partnership with ICN, International Council of Nurses, and Nursing Now. And this report really called for more investment in education, jobs, and leadership. And in the year 2021, the health leaders from around the world, including your health minister, acknowledged that year 2020, all health workers really worked hard, to combat COVID. And therefore, 2021 was declared the International Year of Health and Care Workers, which included nurses and midwives, with the theme of Protect, Invest Together. And this is actually still discussed. We just had the 5th Global Forum on Health Workforce and with the theme of Protect, Invest Together. So this is really what we're trying to focus on. We understood that in order to achieve health, we can't just keep producing nurses and health workers. We really need to take care and protect our health workers that protect us. And in order to do that, we need to increase more investments. So with that movement, in 2021, the Global Strategic Directions for Nursing and Midwifery was adopted by the 74th World Health Assembly as a resolution. This was the first ever Global Strategic Directions that was adopted by the World Health Assembly, meaning, what does this mean? It really means that basically all the health ministers from around the world have adopted this, saying, yes, we want to all strengthen nursing and midwifery, and this is the way to go. These are the directions that we want to invest in. And this was developed based on the evidence and findings from the State of the World's Nursing and State of the World's Midwifery report. It uses a health labor market lens, which is what I showed you, from education to labor market and then into the service, and establishes 4 strategic directions with a 5-year goal in the areas of education, jobs, leadership, and service delivery. Under each strategic direction, there are 2 to 4 policy priorities, And they all suggest enabling actions, tools that can be used, and stakeholders to engage. We are currently in the middle of the global strategic directions, if you notice, because we're in the year 2023. And next week, actually, we have the Global Chief Nurse Midwifery Officers Forum, where we will be speaking about the monitoring framework. Like, we need to now monitor where countries are at with these global strategic directions. Now there are, so again, with the four strategic directions, one of the priority areas is education, which calls for a nurse graduating matching or surpassing the health system demand and having the requisite knowledge, competencies, and attitudes to meet national health priorities. So I really, I commend the Ministry of Health Workforce, or Ministry of Health, sorry, Directorate of Health Workforce in Indonesia for focusing on strengthening nursing education. Right now, I know that you are trying to make it into English class, international classes. So really commend you the work, because you felt that there was a need. There was a need that we need to upgrade the nursing education into English language. The policy priorities in this education includes aligning the levels of nursing education with optimized roles within the health and academic systems, right? Optimizing the domestic production of nurses to meet or surpass the health system demand, which I know that from Director General Ibu Arianti's speech, I could understand that Indonesia has surpassed that, and therefore we have a surplus of nurses, and that we are meeting the domestic needs. So we also need to design education programs to be competency-based, which I know the 20 educators right now are in this camp to do this, applying effective learning design, meeting these quality standards, and aligning it with the population health needs, but with more challenge, because it's going to have to be in English language, from what I understand. And we also want to ensure that faculty are properly trained in the best pedagogical methods and technologies with demonstrated clinical expertise in these content areas, right? So it's not just that we put, you become the educator and then we put them in the academic system. We want to make sure that they have the skills and they can create a cultivating environment, and make sure that they can cultivate a culture of lifelong learning, and ensuring that students can acquire critical thinking skills, which is needed in our day-to-day as a nurse. The WHO Southeast Asia region actually includes 11 countries, and as you know, Indonesia is one of them. So I want to just dive into more. So those are global stuff that are going on in nursing, and now let's focus more on the region. So in the WHO Southeast Asia region, there are 8 flagship priority areas that the region is focusing on. One of them being number 4, the universal health coverage with focus on human resources for health and essential medicines. So this is where nursing falls. And we are actually in the decade of strengthening human resources for health in Southeast Asia region, 2015 to 2024. So really, what happened was in 2014, there was a discussion on where do we want to focus our efforts. And a lot of your health leaders in the region, in the 11 countries, have mentioned to us that they want to strengthen the health workforce. And so therefore, we are in the middle of this decade of HRH strengthening, 2015 to 2024. Now, the decade focuses on 4 policy priority areas, which is transformative education, rural retention, health workforce governance, and health workforce data and information. So these are the 4 areas that we are actually trying to actively, focus on so that we can strengthen health workforce in the 11 countries. You can see that transformative education is one of them, which, we are more discussing about today. There are other WHO resources that have been developed to support our HRH decade. And we also have WHO collaborating centers. These are the collaborating centers actually in our region specifically for nursing and midwifery. So there are 2 in India, there's 1 in Myanmar, and there are 3 collaborating centers in Thailand. They basically support WHO SEARO with our activities. So what does nursing in the region look like? So these are the data that we got from the State of the World's Nursing Report. So compared to all the health professionals, so in the world, there are 59% of health workers in the world are nurses, compared to our region being 53%. Our region has a very young workforce. So we know that 44% of our nurses in the region are actually below the age of 35. Like, isn't this amazing that a lot of our nurses are below 35 years of age? But that also means that, how do we retain these nurses? How do we make sure that they stay in nursing and that they don't leave the profession? We also want to make sure that they have enough skills and knowledge to make sure that we're meeting a population health needs. 89% of nurses in our region are women, which is exactly the same as how we compare to the other worlds. When we look at nursing leadership, we are actually below average. The average is 53% of countries in the world having a nursing leadership development program. In our region, there was only 40%. Having a chief nurse officer position, we are also below the average of not having a assigned chief nursing officer position. And this is the biggest when we talk about density. So the density of nurses per 10,000 population around the world, the average is 36.9. We are only at 16.5 nurses per 10,000 population, meaning a lot of our countries are actually experiencing shortage of nurses. So this is an unpublished report that will be published very soon, hopefully, but we actually did a study on the nursing profession in the Southeast Asia region, looking at nursing roles and practice, regulation, effect of COVID on nursing. And this, we were actually collecting all the data during COVID, so there were some challenges, but we really wanted to elaborate on the data that was written in the State of the World's Nursing Report. And what does this data tell us? Can we put a bit more description to that? So I took some elements from that because we have a section on education and today's topic is about education. I just wanted you to see how Indonesia compares to other countries in the region. So there were 6 countries that responded to the questionnaires out of the 11. And you can see that when we compared the nursing programs, so we divided them into the ISCO codes, which is what ILO uses to determine what profession is linked to their skills. So for a professional nurse, they start with diploma level, and in Indonesia, they would be called a technical nurse. And then I know that we have the bachelor's degree nurse, the registered nurses who receive bachelor's degree. But this is what it looks across the region. And basically, we realized that entry-level nursing education offers range from certificate level paraprofessionals, such as in Bhutan, Maldives, and Thailand, to diploma and or bachelor level professional nursing programs for all countries. Nursing education is handled by different government ministries in some countries, and government databases actually do not necessarily have access to the private sector data. And as a result, almost all countries had gaps in data reported in the questionnaire. So you can see in Bhutan, actually, even though they have a bachelor's degree program, the seats are limited. So they only have about, if we put all the seats together, only 10% of the seats were limited to the BSc program. So a lot of nurses that graduate from Bhutan are actually diploma level holders. In Sri Lanka, for example, a very, very similar picture in that the diploma program, we're graduating way more nurses, right? 3,000 graduates a year compared to the BSc program, the bachelor's program, where they have 300 graduates a year. And then in Thailand, for example, there are no diploma programs available. So all registered nurses in Thailand actually have a baccalaureate degree. So this is what we were able to find out from our survey. Some countries are coming up with bachelor conversion programs. So although right now Sri Lanka doesn't have one, Sri Lanka is considering developing a bridging program for nurses with a diploma who want to earn a baccalaureate degree. Thailand, of course, doesn't have a bridging program because they don't have any diploma program, right? So all registered nurses are receiving bachelor's, and that's the minimum education. In terms of private sector, most nursing education is occurring in the private sector in Bhutan, Indonesia, Nepal, and Thailand, whereas majority of nursing education takes place in the public institutions in Maldives and Sri Lanka. Unsurprisingly, public programs are cheaper than private programs for all countries, with public programs ranging from 1 to 7 times more expensive than their public counterparts, depending on the nursing program. So this is quite interesting to find out as well, because we want to ensure the quality of private sector. But if they are charging 7 times more, does it actually mean that the quality of the education is at par, or do we need to work more harder? And so these are some of the areas that we found out. For accreditation and nursing licensure, so for example, in Maldives, if institutions do not meet the minimum criteria for accreditation, students were actually unable to get licensed. So, very interesting for us to understand this, because it meant that the onus is on the students to find out if the institutions have accreditation or not. In Sri Lanka, licensing was only required for employment in the government health facilities, but not necessarily for employment in private hospitals. And the proof of graduation from nursing programs accredited by the Sri Lanka Nursing Council was required to qualify for a professional license. There are some specialist programs that are offered throughout the region. So for example, in Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Thailand, they offer short-term 4 to 7 month specialist training programs in a variety of areas. Thailand had close to 50 specialist areas, whereas Maldives offered only the 6 months advanced diploma in critical care. Sri Lanka also offers 18-month diploma for nurses selected for management position. Neither Indonesia nor Nepal had short-term specialty training for nurses. We found out that Indonesia and Thailand are the only countries to have APNs, or the Advanced Practitioner Specialist programs. Way forward for education for the region is, I think we do need to conduct an analysis of the health workforce education market to help identify the trends, the causes, and possible solutions for labor market imbalances, whether assessment or whether accreditation is serving its functions to ensure the quality standards, and whether accreditation is reflecting the population health priorities and the principles of service delivery that may support countries to strengthen regulation. We also need to ensure that faculty qualifications are meeting nursing education needs, including faculty prepare for the master's and doctorate programs to respond to higher degree nursing. WHO has the nurse educator core competencies that were released at the headquarter level for globe, so that it can be used globally, and this can be utilized for preparing nursing faculty members. In the region, we have basically taken that global core nurse educator competencies and developed a competency assessment tool for nurse educators. So this is so that the nurse educators can assess their competencies against the WHO's nurse educator core competencies, and then also develop their own learning plan for individual professional development, or for institutions to find the gaps of nurse educator competencies and to help with planning for in-service trainees. We are actually in discussions, and hopefully we will be starting this assessment soon in Indonesia. So, thinking that was now the regional focus. Now we want to look forward. So, okay, we now know what the complications are, what the challenges are for the region, but looking forward, what are some topics that are needed in nursing education to align with population health needs? So we know that with nursing, we have a strong emphasis on evidence-based practice, but also we know that we need nurses to be able to adapt. We don't just want nurses to be able to spit out, oh, the recent evidence says this, or we are doing this nursing practice because of this. We need to cultivate a culture of critical thinking, because, and in healthcare, not all patients are the same. We're dealing with people, and it means that this is the difference between the medical model and the nursing model, right? With nursing, we're looking at the holistic needs of a person. And we therefore, as educators, need to make sure that our students are able to think critically, in that yes, does what's the evidence behind this, but really looking at this patient, what is my nursing diagnosis? What is my nursing action going to be? Interprofessional education, we talk about it. Is it actually practiced? You know, this is where there's a lot of question. This is one of the topics for transformative education, but we know that, again, healthcare is a teamwork. So we know that it's not just nurses or not just doctors and nurses who deliver health services. It's a team effort. And therefore, you know, are we able to cultivate those needs before people go into the labor market, before they start working? So how can we do that? Perhaps we can incorporate more interprofessional education before people are going into the workforce. Climate change. This is one topic that's, you know, globally it's coming up, and with nursing too. Perhaps we do need to bring in more topics about climate change and how climate change can affect nursing. Right? We are talking about planetary health and how, for example, the impact of heat affects women, affects babies, affects pregnant mothers. And so what would our nursing interventions change knowing these things? Resilience and mental health really came up during COVID. So more and more, you know, we want our nurses to be resilient, but we also want them to take care of their mental health. It's no longer that you know, nurses are called to they're called to become nurses, and that, you know, we will work hard regardless of what happens. No, in COVID, we found out that nurses were going out. They sometimes had to stay away from their own families. They had to risk their own life, risk their own safety to go work and take care of the community. And that has some toll on one person's mental health. So yes, it's not just mental health of our patients, but mental health of our nurses. How do we make sure that we are able to cultivate resilient nurses that can work in the challenges of today? Chronic diseases such as NCDs, right? So the more NCDs that we see, we know that it's no longer episodic care. So before, you know, our focus in the region was more maybe you know, we still deal with these, but getting less and less because of advancements in the medical world. But for example, it used to be more of, okay, there's a child with who's experiencing diarrhea. What are we going to do with it? But no, more and more patients are living with chronic diseases. Now, when patients live with chronic diseases, it's no longer that acute management of diseases. We are working with the patients in a longer term, meaning that we need to cultivate self-management skills with our patients. And because we know that more and more patients are actually taking care of themselves at home than in hospitals when they are in touch with the nurses or the doctors. So perhaps these are some topics that are needed to be spoken more about to meet the population health needs. Other factors that take place in education that I thought I would put in, for example, generational competencies. So on the right, you see, this is a chart just for North America, but you've heard about the baby boomers, probably Generation X, Generation Y, or the millennials, and the Generation Z. So what have we learned? Now in nursing education, you know, we need to make sure that there are about 5 generations working in the workforce right now. So all their needs are going to be different. Your students are probably in Generation Z, but you as an educator are probably coming from a different generation. And depending on the generation, your values might be different. The way you work is going to be different. Now, I only put North America as an example, but from my experience of working abroad, for example, so let's say Japan. In Japan, you know, some of you may know, we call our generations by the age of the emperor, right? So we have the Showa emperor or Showa period, and then the Heisei period, and now we're in Reiwa. Now, being born in Showa, which is me, we often say, oh, you know, the Showa era was so different, right? The Heisei kids are different because X, Y, Z. You know, they live, you know, more they talk more about work-life balance, whereas Showa era, it was, we've experienced, people have experienced the Japanese booming of the economy, the golden era of the economy, where people were working really, really hard, but they were also enjoying life, to the fullest, but work was their main thing. Now, post booming of the economy in Japan, we had people that were just working and working and working and working and working, and this was their life. So if you talk to different people in different generations, the way you approach work is going to be different. The way you approach education is also different. When I went to Kuwait, it was also interesting because I would tell some of the nurse educators, okay, we're going to have a meeting next week on Tuesday at 3 p.m. And they would say, no, we cannot plan this right now. And I said, why can't we plan it? And it was very interesting. I learned that it was because some nurses there have experienced the Gulf War, and they said that it was difficult for them to plan ahead because you never knew what was going to happen. So, these culture or, life experiences have changed how they approach work as well. And so I think the more global we become, as educators, we need to understand the generational competencies. So what, the difference in generation, but also understanding that this is not just set in stone, because each culture will have their own types of generational differences. And in that, as a nurse educator, how do we foster a supportive learning environment? How do we make sure that we are targeting what their needs are and understanding where they are coming from? These are things that I just took out from WHO's Transformative Education document, because we're talking about faculty developed and curriculums. So in terms of faculty development, some areas that we want to focus on are, do we actually have CPD, continuing professional development programs for faculty and educators that help them help their students to meet the healthcare needs of the community and the population? Do the educators meet the WHO nurse educator core competencies? Is there a mechanism to assess educator competencies? We need to evaluate and demonstrate effectiveness of teaching. Is there a promotion, reward, or any other non-financial incentives for teachers and trainings for participating in CPD activities or for them demonstrating effectiveness of teaching? Are we recruiting the right teachers or educators that have the right clinical experience that can provide the needs of the community? Is there a support structure for scaling up of educators? Are there enough faculty that can accommodate in clinical education? Because we know that in some countries in the region, we have enough educators for the classroom, but when we take them to clinical, some of the instructors, have not been working in clinical areas, so they needed to hire clinical instructors, for example. Are there any standards that exist for faculty qualifications? Now, for curriculum development, I know that you have a very difficult task for the 20 nurse educators. You have to come up with 20 books, from what I hear, for the next 2 weeks. Right? So does the curriculum define the core competencies that are required to meet the health needs of population of today and tomorrow? Have the core competencies been reviewed and updated? Is the curriculum and program delivery reviewed? Does the curriculum prepare students to problem solve and critically think? Does the curriculum have enough clinical practice embedded? Because again, nursing, we know that it's not just about writing research papers, it's not just about writing essays. It is very important that we are able to bring in evidence base into our practice, but we need to make sure that we understand that a lot of nursing work, especially as a new graduate nurse, they are most likely going to be absorbed in the clinical areas. So we want to make sure that there is enough clinical practice embedded in the curriculum development. So here I just thought I'll end it with some question. What is our goal with nursing education for today and tomorrow? Does the current education program meet the quality standards and align with population health needs? And how do we make sure that our nurses that we are teaching are able to practice fully and meeting the population health needs? And for example, in Indonesia right now, you are trying to develop international classes. So how do we make sure that the nurses who are going to graduate from these international classes are able to work efficiently with the healthcare workforce team in another country per se, let's say, right, with the multidisciplinary team, and that they are able to advocate for their patients as nurses, and that they can become leaders in the health workforce, in the healthcare system. And so how do we do that as educators? So just want to end it with terima kasih, and please join us on the Global Community of Practice Nursing and Midwifery platform. It is a global community platform. This picture is actually the top heading, so you will see that on our website. And it is a site for all nurses and midwives to join, and there are a lot of conversations that go. We have webinars, and this is where you can actually get engaged with the nursing community from around the world. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Yes, thank you so much, for your fruitful talk this evening. I think that all of us already get a lot of messages from your talk today, especially how then, because you raised issue about how then we, as the nurses, as the frontline health worker right now in all over the world. So we have to improve the capacity of the nursing competencies, knowledge, and behavior. So, ladies and gentlemen, and respected participants, I would like to ask you for your, kindly ask you to raise your hand if you have any questions. Please raise your hand if you have any questions. If not, if I'm just waiting for some people who would like to ask questions. I also have like some concern with your talking, because right now, as you probably know, that we face the shortage of nursing in other parts of the world, especially in Europe, in America, and Australia. So there is and in counterpart in Indonesia, for example, we have actually a lot of nurses, but they are not working in their area because of the some issue of the some issue regarding the work that available for them. And for this issue, I would like to ask you a question. What should we prepare in order as a Health Polytechnic of Kupang? As you probably know, that we are not only fulfill the Indonesian demand for nurse, but also for other part of the world. What kind of strategies that we would like to increase in Health Polytechnic of Kupang?
Thank you so much.
Other
Yes.
questions.
That's such a great question. And I think, you know what, having lived and experienced in different health systems, I think the concept of nursing also, what type of nursing is emphasized in each country is different. So, you know, we think all nurses are nurses, but actually, you know, for example, in Canada, there's a lot more focus on humanistic nursing. So it's really about holistic, like understanding the person's needs, and less about the medical model, because we have the physician colleagues who can focus on those areas. And now, I did find that when I had the opportunity to just look at the NCLEX, which is the US model, for example, their focus is actually more on the medical model. You know, so even though it's the same title as a nurse, I think the philosophy could be different. Nurses in UK, for example, also work differently to nurses in Canada. So it is a pretty difficult answer, Ibu Margareta, to give you, you know, one straight answer, because each culture will have its own, you know, I guess, philosophy towards nursing. And to be able to meet all their needs is difficult. But what Polytech should, from my view, what Polytech could focus is so that we can nurture students that are able to be adaptable in any of these health systems. You know, and depending on the health systems, really, it's going to look different, and depending on the resources available too. Are they going to work more individually? at an advanced level where they're going to prescribe medications. Because in some countries, registered nurses are actually prescribing simple medications, right? Or because there are standing orders, it's easier. And then in other countries, nurses are not able to prescribe at all. In situations, they just cannot. But it's going to be difficult to nurture students that are going to cater to one health system. So how do we make sure that they can be more adaptable? And I think that's where we need to make sure that our students are understanding lifelong learning. And this is why I think right now what in the Ministry of Health Workforce Department is doing is pretty amazing, in that you want to convert the curriculums into English, which is not easy at all. And you're trying to do this, 20 books in 2 weeks.
Yes.
But I think it tells the students, the nursing students as well, that they also have to, it's not that once you become a professor, once you become an educator, you're no longer learning. No, you have to keep learning, and you have to keep updating your skills and your knowledge. And in this case, it's in English. So that's why I have such a huge respect for Indonesia for tackling this, because it is not easy. It's not trying to acquire another skill for health service delivery. It's really language skills. But I think it is trying to teach the students the importance of lifelong learning. So yes, I definitely commend that work.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sai, for your comment. There is another question from Nina from Poltekkes Semarang, I guess. The question is because you mentioned about the some other topics that we need to put in the nursing curriculum. There is so the question is, you also mentioned about climate change, and the question is, where do we put climate change in nursing curriculum? Does it stand alone, or we should integrate it with other courses?
Okay,
And
thank you. Yes, thank you so much for that question. So Nina, it would depend on what Indonesia's curriculum is focused on right now. I haven't looked at the curriculum that you have, the current curriculum, and where there's a major focus, because what we have to see is what types of nurses do we need to cultivate for tomorrow, right? And so these nurses are going to graduate in 5 years. So we need to make sure that the education that we're providing is relevant in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years time, 20 years time. So perhaps there are other parts of the curriculum that can be shortened. Maybe, maybe the disease burden is changing in Indonesia. So you'll have to look at that and see, is climate change, a topic that as Indonesia, it's something you want to focus more on, or are there other pressing needs that are going to come in the next 15, 20 years? Currently, I think most nursing curriculums, they do not have it as a course. Some universities are actually trying to integrate it as one course, for example, and there's a lot more focus on it. And we actually have nurse professors who are that's their specialty, planetary health. So more and more this is coming up, and I feel that this is something new that's going to come in the curriculum. Right now, if you're changing it, perhaps it is an opportunity to look at the other areas in your curriculum, checking the disease burden. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, because climate change is a global issue, so we also have to need to take a look. And hopefully it's answered your question, is Ibu Nina. Now another question is there any other comment from you? It's clear? Okay, maybe it's clear. Another question is there is a question from Ibu Raden Siti Mariam. What is the real program actually, based on your opinion, what is the real program for increasing the capacity of international class lecturers in health polytechnic?
Thank you for the question. Is it? I assume you're just asking about my perspective on this. So I think the program for increasing capacity of international class lecturers at Health Polytechnic, maybe the DG Health Workforce can answer this better. But I felt that Indonesia as a country that is producing enough nurses for their country, perhaps you are looking more at outside and how to support other health systems, and it's again, as I showed you in the presentation, that in WHO Southeast Asia region, we have a shortage of health workers in the region. So we do want other countries to support each other as much as possible. And I think it is, for me, I saw it as perhaps it is an opportunity for Indonesia to be seen as one of the leaders to supporting other countries' health systems. And that's how I took it. But I think perhaps the Health Workforce Department, the DG could explain that a bit better than I can about their goals, the program needs as well.
Yes, thank you so much, Ai. Another question is about the, this is, I think it's very interesting questions about this one. Nice to meet you. Could you please explain more about the prospect of midwifery marketplace in Asia?
Sure, midwifery. So in WHO Southeast Asia region, countries are countries are switching to midwifery models of care. Meaning it used to be a lot of countries used to have nurse midwives who were generalists, who were nurses, but also trained in midwifery. But countries have now realized that we need professional midwives who are trained specifically in midwifery. So many countries are actually converting to midwifery models of care. Now, while they are converting, it's been a big challenge for countries to say, wait a minute, we want to convert to midwifery models of care, but who is going to teach these students? Because in our countries, we don't have midwifery educators, because all the time it was nurse midwives. So therefore, I see that there is some need of internationally educated midwifery educators for WHO Southeast Asia region. And countries such as Bangladesh, India, Nepal have hired internationally educated midwifery educators so that they can start educating the midwives, the national midwives. In terms of midwifery, though, specifically just for practicing midwives in Southeast Asia, WHO Southeast Asia, meaning in the 11 countries, I'm not sure about the marketplace because it's such a new profession. So because it's midwifery itself, professional midwifery is a new profession, there aren't enough posts yet as well, and there are, so countries are really trying to scale up the production, meaning, educating, teaching midwifery students first, and then they want to absorb them into the midwifery market. So yeah, as Indonesia being one of the countries that have incorporated professional midwifery from years ago, I think it is somewhere where many countries are looking at, and that's why we are having the ICM Congress, the International Confederation of Midwives conference coming up next week, actually, and it's going to be in Bali, because many countries are actually looking at Indonesia, and the question is going to be, how did Indonesia do this? And so it's a great opportunity, I think, for Indonesia to showcase next week, and that's what we plan to do as well, and to learn from Indonesia.
Yes, thank you so much, Sai, for your comment. Ibu Runjanti, is it clear?
It's very clear. Thank you.
Okay,
Nice
so
to
much.
meet you again.
Yeah, nice to see you again. Yes.
Yeah. I hope I can see you at Bali, in Bali, next week.
Oh yes, are
you?
Yeah.
There? Yeah. Do you come in Bali?
Yes, I'm going to Bali. I will be there.
I will see you in
okay,
Bali.
Great.
Okay.
Nice to meet
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Ibu Runjanti, thank you so much for your questions. We still have 5 minutes. If there are any other questions, please raise your hand. Is there any other questions?
If I can take this opportunity to say thank you very much to the Director General of Health Workforce for coming up with this camp and really investing in nursing. WHO is here to support, and we are going to be with you throughout this process, and it's going to be a journey, but we are here for the long run. And we are so excited that Indonesia is investing in the nursing workforce. So thank you again for holding this workshop, this camp, and very exciting for the future of Indonesia. I hope that more and more, you will receive more and more international students who will study in Indonesia for nursing.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sai. On behalf of all of participants and the Directorate General of Health Workforce, means Indonesian Ministry of Health, I would like to again sincerely grateful for your fruitful talk. That of course we get a lot of take-home message for you, especially how then we, as a polytechnic, we improve our capacity to increase the educational curriculum, and also, of course, to improve the enhance the students' knowledge, behavior, and also skills that they can face in the global, especially for the global issue. So thank you so much, I, for your fruitful presentation and talk today. Again, thank you so much.
Terima
And
kasih.
yes, terima kasih. Before you close, I would like to invite the Secretary Directorate General of Health Workforce, the Indonesian Ministry of Health, Bapak Sugianto, SKM MSCPH, for the closing remarks. As I would like to inform all of you also about Bapak Sugianto is the leader for the WHO project management for Directorate General of Health Workforce, the Indonesian Ministry of Health. The floor is yours, Pak Sugianto, for your remarkable, closing.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Margareta Telly, who facilitated as a moderator for this webinar. I think it is interesting for us how to make collaborating, especially with the WHO SEARO. So thanks so much, Ibu Tanimizu from WHO SEARO. Basically, we are ready to implement how to global policy in nursing and midwifery, empowering all our nurses and midwives, and especially for both national and global setting. Again, I would like to thank so much. And one request regarding to the Ibu Ai Tanimizu is please WHO SEARO support us improving our capacity, nursing and midwife capacity building, and also research collaboration, including to join international publication. Because as you know, sometimes part of us face too difficult how to publish the international journal. And I'm very sure that the WHO can facilitate how to make international publication and also joint research. One again, it is one of how to make health polytechnic to make sure that especially international class for we are still starting with the English camp, we are collaboration with WHO and starting by the English camp in Magelang, and I hope maybe someday you can visit Indonesia and go to the health polytechnic, and it's very, very kindful for your visiting in health polytechnic. We are in Indonesia is waiting for your having us to make capacity building. Again, I would like to thank so much for all participants and also for especially special guest lecturer, Ibu Ai Tanimizu, and also thanks for Ibu Margareta Telly from Poltekkes Kupang. It's great, and I would like to thanks for all of participants and also we are still waiting for the next agenda for WHO SEARO. Thank you. And by saying Alhamdulillahirobbilalamin, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Salam. Thank you so
Makasih,
much,
Pak
Pak
Ses.
Sugianto.
Thank you,
Thank
Pak
you so much,
Ses.
Ai, for your interesting talk.
Ibu Margareta Telly.
Terima kasih banyak Ibu Sri untuk kepercayaannya.
A great session. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good day, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Thank
Makasih,
you,
Pak Ses.
Ai, Bu Margareta. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ai.
Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Pak Erik.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Bu. Thank you, Pak
Oh,
Sugianto.
Pak Erik, thanks so much,
Yes.
Pak Erik.
Thank
Actually,
you.
are you still in Jakarta or in Magelang, Pak Erik?
I'm in Jakarta, Pak.
Okay.
It's travel ban week this week, Pak. That's why we were not able to join in person.
Okay.
Next
I hope
time we
you
will be
can-
able to
yeah.
join. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we will
I hope
plan.
I hope you supervise in Magelang also, Pak Erik. Maybe.
Okay. We will discuss with Ibu Eke, Pak. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I think you can arrange also Ibu Ai Tanimizu go to
Yes.
Magelang.
We would love to have I with us. I will be in Bali next week for the ICM. And hopefully she can also visit us in Jakarta or in other
Okay.
areas where we have this activity, Pak. Yeah. We will discuss with I.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
I.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay. So actually, Ibu Ai now still in New Delhi or Japan or
Yes, no. Right now I'm in New Delhi, India.
New Delhi? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, but next week I will be going to next weekend I'll be flying to Bali for the
Okay.
big midwifery conference.
Okay. So
Yes.
maybe it could be better you can visit in Magelang
Yes,
because we have
inshallah.
English camp, you know.
Inshallah, yes. Magla. I
Yeah,
will look it
Magelang
up.
Magelang is nice city in Central Java.
Okay. Thank you. I really look forward to that.
Okay.
Thank you very much again for today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm in Magelang now. Pak Ses.
Oh yeah. Oh
With
yeah.
Pak Asep.
Yeah.
Halo Pak Ses, ditunggu.
Oh, iya. Oke. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu Direktur yang sudah mengawal Magelang, Ibu Arini,
Ya.
Pak Lutfi. Sorry, I speak in bahasa Ibu Aitani Maju.
Oh, it's okay. No problem.
Yeah.
By Sunday in Borobudur Temple is nice event.
Oh yeah. I think it's good idea. Borobudur Temple is located also in Magelang, especially in it's very close with the English camp.
Tadi pesannya kalau tadi
Siap. Pak Lutfi, Bu Arini, Pak Iswanto, thanks so much, and Pak Asep.
You are welcome, Pak Ses. And thank you very much for Prof. Eric too.
Okay.
Thank you, Pak. Thank you very much.
Of course, Professor Eric is a big supported with us.
We will be a continuing partner, Pak. We will be discussing also for the next biennium. We will visit you one of these days, Pak.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
See you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Terima kasih.
Okay. Thanks so much. Bu Teli ini yang kemarin sempat short course di Belanda bukan ya Bu Teli?
Tidak Pak, saya kebetulan sekarang lagi PhD Pak di Thailand Pak.
Oh, jadi posisi Ibu
Tapi
ini di
saya
Thailand?
dulu, iya Pak, saya sekarang ada di Thailand Pak, ambil PhD Nursing Science. Tapi dulu ke Belanda saya master Pak di Maastricht. Master saya dulu di Maastricht, ya Pak.
Ya itulah makanya kemarin kita sempat ke Maastricht.
Oh iya Pak, dulu saya masternya di sana Pak, di Maastricht, di Health Science di situ.
Oke, oke. Oke.
Ya, terima
Oke.
kasih Bapak.
Ya.
Selamat sore Bapak.
Kapan selesai Bu? Teli?
Saya tahun depan Pak sudah selesai, tahun terakhir sudah. Moga-moga dilancarkan penelitian dan disertasinya.
Di mana? University Mahidol atau University
Enggak
mana?
Pak, saya di Chulalongkorn Bapak. Chulalongkorn
Oh,
University. Ya.
Ya, ya. Ini dari Bangkoknya berapa jam ya kalau pakai darat?
Oh, saya tidak tahu ya Bapak kalau pakai darat. Kalau
Pakai pesawat berapa jam?
Kalau flight dari Jakarta dia 3 jam Bapak.
Maksudnya dari Bangkoknya gitu loh.
Iya, dari Bangkok, dari Don Muang itu ke Jakarta 3 jam.
Nah, di Bangkok ya Chulalongkornnya tuh ya.
Iya Bapak, di Bangkok.
Oh,
Dia di
saya pikir
Chulalongkorn.
ada kota tersendiri.
Oh, tidak Bapak. Dia di Bangkok, di Bangkok.
Oh, oke, oke, oke. Saya pikir ada kota tersendiri yang dari Bangkok tuh misalkan 1 jam atau 2 jam. Oh, di Bangkoknya ya berarti ya.
Iya Bapak.
Oke, oke. Ya, semoga cepat lulus ya.
Amin. Terima kasih Bapak doanya.
Biar bisa membangun Kupang ya.
Ya, amin Bapak. Terima kasih banyak.
Ibu dari asli NTT kan?
Iya Bapak, saya asli NTT.
Iya, ya biar membangun ya, biar nanti biar maju juga seperti yang lain.
Amin. Terima kasih Bapak supportnya.
Oke, oke. Oke ya, terima kasih semuanya
Iya
ya.
Bapak, selamat sore.
Izin
Izin live Bapak.
Selamat sore semuanya, izin live ya.